Tommy, it's FA Cup weekend this weekend. How confident are you of repeating past successes we've had under your leadership?
Well, that's the aim, obviously. I think everybody would agree it's probably a tougher opening game than we've had in the last couple of seasons because we've been at home. But it's the name that came out of the hat, and we've got to go down there. So I'm sure they'll be looking themselves at wanting to progress. And Mark would make no bones about that. So yeah, we're looking forward to the game. It's a break from the league. It might be a chance to get one of the lads back who've struggled to get involved with the group for a while. So yeah, we're looking forward to the game as much as we do any game. But it is the next one. It's the one in front of us, and we're going to try and win it.
Well, drawing Dorking, we obviously played them in pre-season. Can we take anything from that game?
Not really. I mean, look, we're both doing things at that stage of the season a bit sort of like experimental, looking at different lads who probably aren't in the group anymore, in both groups. So, ultimately, I think Mark knows and I know Mark in terms of the way they try and want to play the game. So I think it all bodes for a decent cup tie, to be honest with you. I know we're taking a shed load of fans down there, and we'll be trying our best to make sure they come home a lot happier than they did the last time we went there in the league.
Well, looking on paper, Dorking a team in the league below, but that's never something we should do, is it? They're obviously doing well in the league this year, and we've seen in the past what teams lower down can do in these kind of competitions. So certainly won't be taking that for granted, will you?
Not at all. I mean, last season Bath City ran us very close in the same stage of the competition. The year before it was Lewis. So the difference being that we were at home, and when we were confident at the time that when we were playing them teams, we had enough. But we're going into this game on the back of not a great result at Southend, but the team that played that day, we know were giving their all. They didn't, but for a couple of late goals, the scoreline possibly flattered a little bit. But at the end of the day, every game we treat them as a one-off project. We can't look at what might happen should we win, and you can't say this might have happened if we lost. So, listen, what I try to sort of glean on when we go into a game like this is just remember what it brought us before. Remember the day at Swindon. Remember the 2 days against Stockport. Remember the day at West Brom. They're the things that can happen if you win or you progress through to the next round of the competition. And we're like no other team at this stage. We want to be in the hat on Monday. It's as simple as that.
Looking at the condition of the squad, obviously going up to Southend, we were pretty much the walking wounded. A few players on the bench that maybe shouldn't have been, but that got through it. Have we got any updates on those kind of guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think Alan mentioned it after the game. And just let me put something straight there. I wasn't allowed to do the interview after the game.
Yeah,
it wasn't me avoiding my responsibilities or anything like that. Anyway, yeah, Alan sort of alluded to it a bit. There was about 3 or 4 lads on the bench, certainly 3 lads on the bench who we had the numbers available to us. They wouldn't have been, but all 3 of them came on the pitch, and so the fact that they did and they've trained on this week, or most of them have, we should have a little more in terms of options to start the game. But we are where we are at the moment, and that's parcel of managing a football club at this level. You can't just keep going buying another player and another player and another player. Unfortunately, we've got a medical room full, and we've had that since near enough day one of pre-season. Never mind, day one of this season. So I know the medical staff and the backroom staff are working as hard as they can and as long hours as they can to make sure we get as many of them as we can back as soon as we can. And I know there's a lot of as we cans in there, and we can't do a lot about the fact that people at different ages, different levels of injury take a little bit longer in time. So, look, we can only concentrate on the lads who are available to play. And what I do know is every single one of them pulling on a shirt for all the short a minute are giving their all. And I can't, as a manager, ask for much more than that.
And Ryan Jones, obviously, I know we've seen with Ollie Scott that shoulder injuries can be bad.
Yeah.
So a bit of worry about that one. Have we got any more on
Yeah,
him?
well, it was better news in that there's no surgery required at this time, so he'll be rehabbing rather than going into surgery. I still think he'll be a couple of weeks away, which is a blow because it's taken us 5.5 months to get him back from his broken leg. And it was an innocuous thing. He'd come off the pitch and put his arm out straight and his shoulders popped out. Now, it popped straight back in again, so he wasn't in that much pain. I know it was sore, but it wasn't in that much pain, whereas Ollie Scott bust his shoulder, So, listen, these things are sent to test you, and if it was easy, everybody would do it. But you've got to get your nose to the grindstone and crack on.
And other than that, obviously, we made it out on the fact that this is a nice, rare week without a midweek game. So how's that been this week? All good?
Well, it's been a great training week. I mean, we haven't had a massive amount of numbers. We had to call on the youngsters to come and supplement the numbers. But it's been a really good week. We've been able to get some good information into them regarding how we performed last Saturday, and some real good information, obviously, on the opposition, as we always do before this Saturday. But primarily we concentrate on our own preparation, what our plan is, we've got to get back to doing the things we do really well. We've got some of the best creative and goal-scoring people in this division in our midst and available to us, and we've got to make sure that they're firing.